who was holding the chair, I'm trying as much as possible to use that sequence, because that sequence was taken when the system was starting to go down, and it had sequentially taken the members who intended to give their contribution, and that is the one I have used so far, with the exception of the few special requests that were there. That's the same sequence I'm using. So after Senator Richard Onyonka, we have Senator Hamida, and we have Senator Paris on the other side. That's the sequence I'm using. Proceed, Senator Onyonka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to tell you that I stand here a very sad person, and yet indeed I'm also deeply happy, because it has been something that I've been dealing with at a personal level in terms of my responsibility as a legislator. Madam Speaker, before I proceed with saying anything, I would like first of all to mention a few names. I want, just like my colleagues have said, my brother Harun Cheruiyot, I knew you were worthy, but I now know you are much more worthy than I thought you were. You have actually surprised me. I remember once I made a phone call to you and I was asking you, how do we manage this thing of Madam Nyakango? And you said, please tell her to know that we are trying to figure out what to do. And I took the message, and that's when I knew that you are a serious person. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. Madam Speaker, I also would like to mention the name of Madam Nyakango, who's the Controller of Budget, and Madam Nancy, who's the Auditor General, the two incredible women of this republic. If I had my own reward, I would give them. Because when everything else seems to have been failing, some of us have been talking to them, and all the time we feared for their lives. Why? Not because anything would happen, but the costs were too high. The expectation was much higher. They have done their job, and I'm so happy that this house, which is known as the oversighting house, has seen the light. My colleagues who are in this house, I'm very lucky because I've lost my voice a bit. I'm lucky because I have the institutional memory. I have been in politics for the last 30 years. Those 30 years I've been in elective politics, about 22. Madam Speaker, the problems, the way Mzee Odinga said about Kenya, have not been started by President William Ruto. If you look at the history, and Madam Speaker, the other day people were asking me, how did you tell that these young GenZs are actually going to come to the streets after 1 year? I said, I look at the trend. If you look at independence 1962-3, that was the 20 years beyond where the liberation movement took place. After that, we got independence. It took another 20 years for us to have a military coup. The people who are guiding and who are within that military coup are not old men like Jaramogi or Charles Njonjo at that time. It was young Gen Z students of the University of Nairobi and young people who believed in the ideal of what Kenya was. The second issue that came up, Madam Speaker, was after, by the year 2002, there was another 20 years. Then you come to 2022, to 2002 is when Kibaki was elected, is when we have a referendum, is when we have a new constitution, and then we say Kenya is now on the right path. After that, Madam Speaker, we did not follow the letter of the constitution. What many of us have never understood is that your democracy is as valid and as reasonable and as verifiable and is implementable as the people who are willing to follow and implement that constitution. We have completely failed our people. And that is why when the elections took over and we had challenges, and that is why when you look at our country and the crisis that has come up, when you look at the issues which are bedeviling our country, you realize that we are on quicksand. Unless you have old men and old women, people of dignity and decency, people who have got wisdom, people who are not greedy to fix this country, we will not have a country very soon. Madam Speaker, I've served as an assistant minister. I went to Cote d'Ivoire, sent by President Kibaki to go and visit President Gbagbo. I got into his house. He was wearing a vest. That time the military was around him. He was being deposed. 2 weeks later, he went home with his wife. They were half naked. Those sins are not sins that Africa should be proud of. Madam Speaker, our country has broken down. Our country has challenges. But before I go to how, in a short notice, what we can do, I would like to ask the President, and I asked him the other day, the children who died and the children who are in the prisons, please remove them. Those who have died, I want to ask this House, the Senate, let us make sure that those children get a state funeral. Those who are not criminals, these are children who had reached a dead end. Madam Speaker, what is wrong with our country? We call it a company with shareholders. Our country is not a company. Our company is Kenya, which is a state. It has 50 million people who all expect and demand certain services from the state. We, the politicians in this House, I heard my colleague speak. I am so happy that we are now telling each other the truth. We are the ones who carry militias. We are the ones who go and carry cattle rustlers. We are the ones who have got companies that are doing business in government departments. We are the ones who are stealing the money. Look at the national government, I'll call it down, bring it down to the National Assembly. We must begin to look at issues like CDF. We must look at the Women Fund. We must look at the structure. Do we need all the people who have been given offices? I've been asking this publicly. Why are governors running county governments as if they are private companies where they are stealing money, buying properties abroad, driving such big vehicles, including ourselves? Why? When did we decide that I must drive a car which is 4.8 cc? That at 3,000 cc is not good enough. When our children don't have medicines, when our women are not giving birth, when we can't feed our children, when we buy fertilizer, we deal on it, we sell some of it, we sell mchanga. We are bringing in maize when we are supposed to be planting maize and giving farmers fertilizers and giving them funds so that we can get production and increase that, so that we create jobs for our people. It is we politicians who go and buy 2 million metric tons of maize. We come and sell. We bring 3 million metric tons of sugarcane. Mumias is dying. Chemelil is dying. Sony Sugar is dying. Those are factories that used to employ people. Who are the biggest dealers of investment companies in Kenya? We, the political class. What happened to Kenya Airways? Look at it now. It's smelly, filthy. It was the pride of Africa. Who runs Kenya Power? Why are we not told who are the owners of the independent power suppliers of this country? Why are we not being told who owns our national parks? But you hear money is being stolen by none other than the elite and the political class. These people out here are tired. These people are tired. I was crying this morning today because we are messing up a good thing. We are messing up this country. Who wants to be a refugee? And there is enough for you people to eat, so long as you eat with manners. The revenue we collect is enough to run 8 African countries: Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania. You go to Congo, you go to South Sudan, you go to Somalia, and you go to Ethiopia. That's what our goddamn budget is. Just manage it, don't steal it. A few people are stealing too much. These kids out here, they know everything. They know your houses. They know where your kids go to school. They know which properties of land you have. Why must somebody have 4 million acres of land to his name? What happened to our mentality? Then we pretend and run to churches talking about Christianity, how Jesus... Do you understand what you are dealing with? The people out here don't even believe in God anymore. The people out here are tired of the lies, the religious organizations. And I have to say this, I'm a Catholic. I was so happy I saw the Purple No-Show talk about the issues of a country. Let us forget that we can run this country as tribes. Let us accept that there is a new sheriff in town. That sheriff is the GenZ. They are partyless, they are tribeless, they don't have money, they just have bundles and a phone. And they'll stop this country to move. I would like to plead with the members of this house, when it comes to looking at what role our committees are playing. Look at what happens. I want to thank my brothers Sifuna, my brother Chirargei. I want to thank Madam Dulo. These are, many of you may not know, we've never discussed it here. How many times we've been threatened that we are raising issues about county governments losing billions. I mean, who doesn't know how many governors own apartments and houses in Kilimani Road? Each one of them owning an apartment costing 1.5 billion shillings. Why didn't the fool just go and build a hospital where he comes from? How I wished we stole the money and put it at home. Some of them are going to Dubai. People are going to America. You see on social media. I just saw somebody commenting saying that the senators got nothing to do. I want him to tell me how he bought a Bentley and is an MP. Explain to me, how does somebody, the truth is, I'm born with advantage and privilege. That is the truth. I saw my father driving a big car when I was a small boy. That is not what drives me. What drives me is, how do you get a member of parliament driving a Mercedes that costs 49 million shillings? And we are watching, and that is normal. And it is okay. And it is okay. Shame on us. Then we make sure this money doesn't go to the schools. We make sure that hospitals have no money. We start building hospitals now. We want the poor people to come to those hospitals. Poor people can't come to Nairobi Hospital. They can't come to Aga Khan. Some of them can't afford Kenyatta. You saw the other day, Kenyatta has a debt of 6.6 billion. The Eldoret Hospital, Eldoret KTRH, has a debt of 3.9 billion. When you ask, they tell you we don't know where the money went. Are we fools? Do we need to buy houses which have got 15 bedrooms and drive 19 cars and put them in your parking lot, and you want 10,000 acres of land? You want a ranch? You fools, you go and buy a ranch in Australia. This is where we are. We keep blaming the police. The policeman cannot do anything. Have we ever gone as a Senate to go and see where the police lives? How he takes his kids to school and his salary is 19,000. And this house has to start thinking about those things. We guys must begin, and we ladies and gentlemen in this house must begin to agree that we can reduce our salaries, that we can drive smaller cars, that we can wear kaundas. In fact, the only thing I'm very annoyed about the president, I'm the one who started wearing kaundas. Now he has given kaunda a bad name. I want Kenyans to love kaundas the way I loved them. Let us wake up, Kenyans. We can't play football. Money comes from FIFA, it is eaten. World Rally Championship, money comes from there, it's eaten. You go, you want Kenya Lawn Tennis Association, they only want 50,000 to hold an international tennis tournament. Not even the minister appears there. But when the minister is traveling out of the country, he's got how many people? Private jet, goes to Dubai, books one of those hotels, luxury hotels, and he comes back to Nairobi with the same 9 people he took with a private jet. And you assume that the GenZs don't know. These days they track you. They can know which private jet you took, where it went, and how it came back. Many of us are worried because either because of history or because of what has happened, we have got a lot of money now, we are owning so much land. Please allow us to have spatial planning. Your land, we can have an implemented law in this house to protect your even identity. But please don't stop stealing public land. Let us have mercy at our people. You saw people from Eldoret and Kakamega talking about, our chambers which our grandfathers left for us. Now you guys who are MPs and senators, you come, you chase us away, and then you throw us into court. You go and bribe the courts. And I want to talk about the judiciary. We respect you. We know that you are most of the time under the pressure. We know there are certain things which you can even be blackmailed, but we want to hold you at a higher standard. We must hold the judiciary at a higher standard, the legislators at the higher standard, and make sure the president is also at the higher standard. That is how we can move as a country and stop this nonsense. We behave like monkeys running through a forest looking for bananas without knowing whether it's the bananas they want or it's oranges. I really, really want to say this, Madam Speaker, finally. I was nearly giving up on my country. I have changed my mind because of today. The young men who are fighting for this country have done us proud. Let us treat them with dignity. Let us make sure we engage them. Let us stop doing the things which make them angry, desperate, and upset with the ruling class. The truth is, if this country breaks down, it takes all of us down. I can tell you, I was in South Sudan when we were doing the comprehensive peace agreement. I visited as a minister, as a young minister, to go and do what was called a referendum. I've been to Khartoum. I have been to Mali. I've been to a country in West Africa. I'll remember the name, Madam Speaker. You look at how people have been treated and how the political class has treated their people. Everybody looks destitute and everybody is desperate. Let us change our ways. We can run the country peacefully, make sure everybody is a person of dignity. Let's treat our people kindly. A country that never takes care of its most vulnerable is a country that is not worth talking about. So I want to ask the political class, I want to ask all our auditors, I want to ask all members of the county assembly, please, members of the county assembly, your job is to oversight, the MP's job is to oversight, and the senator's job is to oversight. Let the governors run the place. If they bribe you, you will not get development. Let us agree that those are the rules that we'll have to operate with. And let us share the cake of this country equitably and fairly. Let us not have one region getting 50 billion when one area's got only 1.2 billion. And when you are giving scholarships, why should we have 3 scholarship funds in this country? Those are some of the things, Madam Speaker, without speaking too much, I wanted to vent. And I thank all my colleagues for having shown our country the love that it deserved. Thank you so much.
Senator Peris Tabiko.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me begin by what is positive that has come out of the demonstrations and the demonstrations by our young people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me congratulate the GenZs, the millennials, and all the young people who are involved in the demonstrations. Congratulate them because they showed us that it is possible to have a tribeless Kenya. They have shown us that it is possible to have a partyless country. They have shown us that they can unite beyond creed and beyond religion. Madam Speaker, they have actually shown us that we can come out, and these are some of the things that we never thought possible, Madam Speaker. The cancer of tribalism that has affected this country almost took us to civil strife in 2007 and 2008 in the post-election violence, Madam Speaker. And so when these young Kenyans showed us that they can come together for a common cause, Madam Speaker, a unity of purpose, Madam Speaker, let me say as a mother of those young people, I am very proud of them, Madam Speaker. Although they paid the price, They paid the price, Madam Speaker. And we mourn today our young people who lost lives where they should not have lost lives, Madam Speaker. We have become brutal even to our own children, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me offer an apology on behalf of all the other leaders, Madam Speaker, who may not enjoy this kind of platform, Madam Speaker. Apologize to the demonstrators and to the families of those who lost their loved ones, Madam Speaker. They were treated in a inhuman manner. They were handled badly, Madam Speaker, and this House must lead in trying to check the excesses of the police, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, no, the good thing is all Kenyans are watching this House today, and those GenZs and millennials and the young people are watching, Madam Speaker. In fact, when this debate was going on, Madam Speaker, one of them forwarded to me a list of their demands. And I want to read it, Madam Speaker. They said, it's deeper and bigger. And they said, you know, you guys are saying a lot of things. And said, let me give you in summary. Pay all the doctors. Hire the medical interns. Pay the teachers. Fund the schools. Cut public expenditure. Fire all corrupt civil servants. Bring back Linda Mama. Reform the NHIF. Recover all stolen money. Remove unconstitutional offices. Jenga inji, usibomoe. Madam Speaker, I wanted first at least to make sure I have delivered that one before I put it in my own words, Madam Speaker, because I think they capture better what they wanted, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's a Damascus moment in our country. It's a moment for us to restore our country, the dignity of our systems, make sure that systems are working, and Madam Speaker, that each one of us is accountable. Madam Speaker, these young people actually did speak for us, things that we should have been speaking in the two houses, but we did not. The issues of public debt, the issue of reconstituting IEBC. Actually, we have more interest in reconstituting of IEBC than the demonstrators. Because we know when a position falls vacant, whatever, by whatever, you know, even natural causes, Madam Speaker, there is a way for a member of parliament to be replaced or whatever, and it must be through IEBC, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these young people said remove the punitive taxes, remove the budgeted corruption and wastage. And Madam Speaker, I thank the President for no turning down on the finance bill, Madam Speaker. But the finance bill was just a trigger. The issue is the unemployment, desperation that is out there, the unbearable taxation, Madam Speaker. These are the real issues that are affecting us today, Madam Speaker. People are demanding our faithfulness to the law. We must pause and think and act in a way that is acceptable in the eyes of Kenyans, in the eyes of the law. Madam Speaker, I just wanted also to use this platform to ask my President some questions, Madam Speaker. No, when I watched the President in that debate, the interview with the media houses, Madam Speaker, I was sad. I wanted to ask the president, why has he allowed himself to become the sacrificial lamb of his friends